Alright, what is going on, you lovely ladies and gentlemen of the world? I'm gonna do my best to kind of like stick to a bit of a schedule when uploading. And so part of that schedule is I want to do a Nate Talks every Sunday. Now, obviously, that's a little bit difficult to keep topical given my own personal current situation with fighting games, right? In that there's not really anything out there that I want to grind at the moment, and even for if there was a game that I wanted to, like, I could see myself, if I really wanted to, I could definitely grind plus R, but I'm kind of just waiting for Melty Blood at this point. But even then, I mean, it's not like there's any new, like, I can't just sit here and talk about, like, here's what's coming to plus R, are you excited for the future? That game is that game. It's going to stay as it is for a while now. And so I am going to finally, because the thing is that, so Strive has been out for a while, right? It's been like, what, a month or two? I actually have no idea. I can't remember when it came out. Doesn't matter. But it's been out for a while now, right? And so it's actually in a unique position for me. Not entirely unique. It gets to join the illustrious company of fantasy strikers in fighting games that just have no appeal to me whatsoever. And the reason why I say that is that, so Guilty Gear Strive is now the third fighting game where I'm just like, I am not buying this, I'm not supporting it, I'm not giving it money. But it's actually the first fighting game that I just actively don't care for at all. So the other two fighting games in that company are Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has nothing to do with the gameplay itself. It's everything else but the gameplay. But if I had played that game, I'm pretty sure I would have enjoyed it. Obviously, I can't say 100% without actually playing it, and I'll never do that. But if I had, I'm pretty sure I would have enjoyed the gameplay. Everything else, we all know, absolute garbage, not worth supporting, will never support it. But I still would have enjoyed the game. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. I pretty much said, like, I'm not supporting this for almost the same reasons as Guilty Gear Strive. Now, Guilty Gear Strive also doubled down on a few of those, made some other things worse, such as the lobbies, but ultimately for very similar reasons, because I did not like the implication of what it meant for the future of Arc System Works fighting games. Their mentality, their design philosophy going into BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, which has since carried over now into Guilty Gear Strive, and I assume is going to be carried forward just for the foreseeable future with Arc System Works, which is very unfortunate for me personally and for anybody that may have been fans of classic Guilty Gear, classic BlazBlue. It seems like those might be dead. We'll, just kind of have to wait and see if they ever actually do anything with BlazBlue again at this point. But future's looking kind of bleak if you enjoyed those, but you did not enjoy Cross Tag Battle or Strive. But I wound up, thanks to Darius gifting me the game, I did still play it a little bit, and I enjoyed my time with it. Unfortunately, I couldn't play any matches because I couldn't find anybody to play. But I still enjoyed my time messing around and learning Hakumen, learning Yang, learning Makoto. Like, it was still a good time. There's still an enjoyable fighting game, despite the fact that I do believe it is a bad fighting game, if you can reconcile those two things merging and being one. But with Guilty Gear Strive, when I played in the beta, I didn't enjoy any part of it. I didn't enjoy playing any of the characters. I didn't enjoy watching replays. I haven't enjoyed, so I've watched, since the game has come out, I've watched two things Guilty Gear related. The first is irrelevant. The first would be the kind of thing, like, if I was trying to clickbait or cherry pick a perfect example for why the game sucks, it would have been perfect for that, right? I was watching Aris stream, and he hosted Sajam afterwards, and Sajam was just playing online matches. And I genuinely thought that he was just, like, memeing around with a friend in the match, because it was a soul mirror match. And they both were just doing, I don't know if it's close slash, far slash, which one it is, but the little punch move, right, where he moves forward a little bit. It's plus on block for some mysterious reason. Both players, 90% of the moves used in neutral was that. The other 10% is that they were out of range. They were too far away to do that, and so they either did far heavy slash, they instant air dashed, or they did gunflame. Like, that's it. That was the entirety of the gameplay. And I wish that I was over-exaggerating that, but I promise you that I'm not. And so just watching that was kind of like, this can't, like, this has to be a meme, right? Like, this is not how you play this match seriously. Apparently it is. I don't know. But so that was the first one, right? And the second one was, if you are a fan of Strive and you have not seen it, I highly urge you to go watch it, because if you do enjoy the game, you're going to enjoy the hell out of the exhibition. Japan had, I think it was 15v15? It was either a 10v10 or a 15v15. Either way, the end was, I'm not going to say what happened, because if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you. But the end was undeniably, objectively, an incredibly hype scenario. Basically something that said to me, like, if I can't even derive any enjoyment, any entertainment out of this situation, this game has nothing for me. There's just no way. It's very similar, like the way that I equate it in my mind, the easiest way that I can break it down is how we all have different standards of attractiveness, right? We're all attracted to different people, to different aspects of different people. And so it's that kind of thing where you can look at somebody and be like, that person is definitely an attractive person. I understand why other people find that person attractive. I get it. But personally, does nothing for me, right? Like, that was that entire situation. I understand that that was super hype, that was an awesome moment in the game. And yet, I could have been watching paint dry for how much I got out of it. So that was like my final definitive moment of like, okay, yeah, like I can definitely release any potential of like, you know, maybe this game has something. Maybe there's something in this game for me. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe. Like, that put all of that to rest. It was just so obvious that, like, if that moment can't get me like glued to my screen and not, you know, like going over and checking other things, just walking away for a little while and coming back, you know, like kind of forgetting that it's even on for a moment, that kind of stuff. And so that is why, like, that's now the only fighting game aside from Fantasy Strikers that I have played, that I have watched, that I've done anything with, that just was just straight up like a non-experience. I can't, like, I don't think, it's a very subjective thing about whether or not you find something to be bad, right? But I don't even think Guilty Gear Strive's gameplay is bad, necessarily. I think the only way that I can argue that the gameplay is bad is comparing it to things that I like more. And that's kind of my issue, is that I don't find Guilty Gear Strive's gameplay bad. I don't find Guilty Gear Strive's gameplay good. It's just in that perfect spot in the middle where it's like, this exists, it functions, cool. There's nothing appealing to it. There's nothing unappealing to it. It's just there, right? And so, anyway, I've rambled on long enough for that. So let's talk about Mortal Kombat 11. Because I did that one video and then I uninstalled the game. I played 2 online matches. And I just deleted the video. I did record it. So you had to, it's really stupid. You have to do 3 tutorial matches. That, to be fair, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus also did this, except you had to play 10 in that one. You had to play 10 matches against the CPU in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and it, like, just, what do they even, whatever, anyway. Point being, Mortal Kombat 11, you had to do 3. But the problem is that in Mortal Kombat 11, you just fight Scorpion 3 times. Now, admittedly, I would have kept the video if the match directly after that, where I finally played against a real person, was a Scorpion. Unfortunately, I was unlucky. It was the second person. The problem, too, is that it was almost perfect. The first person that I fought against was a Kung Lao. But the second person that I fought was a Wi-Fi Scorpion. It would have been the perfect scenario to go from, you've done 3 tutorial matches in a row fighting against Scorpion, and now here's your first match against a live person, and it's a Wi-Fi using Scorpion player. That would have been perfect, and I would have posted that video. But unfortunately, that is not how it worked out. But it really, so I've seen it talked about, where, like, because I am almost positive, I am almost positive, I'm too lazy to look it up, but didn't they say prior to Guilty Gear Strive's release that the final version of the game was going to have an indicator of what kind of connection the other person was on? And I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Like, I'm almost, again, this is another thing where, having not played the game, I can't confirm it myself, but I'm almost positive I have heard other people talk about it and say that, like, it doesn't have it in the game. Maybe if it does, just disregard that part entirely. But it really weirds me out how whenever that does come up, I almost always see, even Mortal Kombat 11 has it, right? But the problem is that I don't know exactly how penalizing it is, but when you get to the page, it shows like it shows like your statistics, the person you're fighting against statistics, and then underneath that it shows the connection type, right? But then underneath that, it says if you leave at this point, you will be penalized. So like by the time you can actually see what type of connection it is, by the time you can be like, oh, this person's on Wi-Fi, I want no part of that, let me back out, they're gonna penalize you for it? You don't even get an opportunity to look at that first? Don't praise Mortal Kombat 11 for that. Like, they may have implemented it, but they did it wrong. To be fair, again, it also kind of, like, the actual scale of the penalization does matter. If it's like let's just say, for instance, you get plus 20 points for a win, you get minus 10 points for a loss, you get minus 1 point if you back out after that screen, right? Whatever. I'll take that point loss so I don't have to fight a Wi-Fi warrior, right? But maybe it penalizes you as if you lost the match. In which case, why is it even there, right? You're basically rewarding a person for being on Wi-Fi. Because you either are going in knowing you have a shit connection and that you're going to take advantage of that, or alternatively, the other person's going to see it, be like, nope, I'm out, back out, take an L, you potentially, I don't know if the other person gets anything for somebody else backing out, but like it's basically a win-win scenario at that point. So like, congrats on putting that in, well done, that should be a part of every fighting game, but you implemented it horrifically poorly. How did you not think that through? And the same token of that, the rematch system in that game. Every other fighting game I have ever played that has the ability to rematch requires both players to commit to the rematch to get it done. Usually you have options, right? You can either rematch, you can return to the character select screen, or you can just leave, right? That's the typical options that you're given after a match. In Mortal Kombat, if you win, you get no choice. You have no say in the matter. You are stuck there at the whims of the other player. The other player decides if you get the rematch or not. So you just suffered through a match that was a horrifically bad connection, that you had a horrible time in, that you want no part of, but you managed to get a win. Barely, somehow. Who knows how, right? You got lucky. And then the other person hits rematch. And now you have no choice but to go through it again. That is not a good system. I don't know who thought that up. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but it wasn't. And you're stupid, and don't do that again. It's just really weird, because it was kind of in my head that it was like, yo, even Mortal Kombat can do this. So why can't you, right? Even Mortal Kombat has rollback, which, to be fair, as far as I could tell, the connections were great. The Wi-Fi warrior was the exact kind of connection you would expect out of a Wi-Fi warrior. But the Kung Lao that I played right before that, I did play 2, 3? I can't remember how many matches I played against him. But the connection was fine. Like, I didn't notice anything bad with it. But yeah, the Wi-Fi warrior was the Wi-Fi warrior. But still, so I'm just sitting here like, even Mortal Kombat 11 can do this. Even it has a Wi-Fi indicator. Even it does rollback. Even it does this. Even it does that. How are you not doing that? And then I actually experienced the game for myself, and it's like, wow, they really fucked this up, huh? Like, yeah, they have it, but the worst implementation possible. That's kind of an argument around, so I can continue to kind of take punches at Strive. That's kind of an argument about the rollback in Strive, right? Where you have rollback, and in general, it works extremely well. Like, it's certainly no Street Fighter V rollback, we know that for sure. But still, it's not, Skullgirls plus R. You can personally alter the amount of rollback frames. So, like, if you're knowledgeable about how rollback works, then you have some control over it to give yourself the best connection possible. Whereas, plus R, not plus R, Strive, I think, as far as I'm aware, it locks you in at 3 frames of delay. Is that what it is, or is it 2? But either way, it locks it in, like, you are just locked there. You cannot alter it in any way, shape, or form. Whereas with the aforementioned games, you can change that. So if you want to have 0 delay, you can do that. If you think the connection is good enough, then you can do that. In Strive, you can't. And so I've seen that as a knock again, where it's like, okay, cool, yeah, you have a really good rollback system here, but it's not as good as it could be. And I just don't understand why so many devs are so scared to just do what's best for the players. Like, even if it might, like, okay, here's the thing. They have no trust of us. right? They all think we're dumbass monkeys wandering around with our fingers up our ass getting ready to throw shit at each other, which, to be fair, kind of true. What am I doing right now? But the point being, like, they have no respect for us, for our intelligence, for our abilities, and for our capacity to learn and improve, right? They have no respect for it, which has resulted in Strive, in fighting games in general, being dumbed down to the point where they are today. That was the thing that if you remember, that set me off originally about BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, was when, I can't remember if it was Mori or who exactly it was, but they came out and specifically said, oh yeah, people outside of Japan just don't have the same capacity for dealing with complex fighting games as Japanese people do. And so we're looking to simplify this to accommodate their dumbasses. That's how they feel about us. And y'all still want to give them money? Y'all still want to pay them? You want to continue supporting it? I don't get it. They're walking up and smacking you in the face, and you're turning around saying thank you and going to your friends and tell them to line up for a smack themselves. I can't understand it. I can't fathom it. I just don't get how people are so willing to grovel in front of companies that could not give a shit about them. It's so weird. But that's an entirely different discussion for an entirely different day. I've rambled for long enough. Thank you for listening. Catch y'all next time. Peace.